rolling.
So the background of this in the thought process is that I think Josh said he had something similar. I've been working on and off like a pet project as a history major. Something since I've been little as I wanted to have my own history for the artificial world, and I grew up with Tolkien and Harry Potter, so much more fantasy than superhero. I know a lot of people are superhero. I was more into the other fiction. So that's kind of where I used this project to kill two birds with one stone, because I could work on that long-term project of my own, and also kind of forced me, okay, I have to sit down, I have to write out this story for this character that I've been working with. I won't actually read the whole thing. It's like 8 pages, and I think it errs a little on the side of history. So if you're not a history person, I'm going to bore you to tears. So I'll give like a synopsis, and I did do a hand-drawn map, because I'm a visual person, I said map, so I can pass around if you want.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start. The name of my character, his name is Talak, son of Tark, and his father was the king of this hidden valley kingdom. They're in this Printemai Mountains, and they're waging this war against this the shadowy figure called the Deceiver. And when I guess Talak's about 10, that hidden kingdom is the last kingdom in the northern part of this world, and all the energy of the Deceiver is focused on finding this kingdom, and he finally does it, and he destroys it and lays it to waste. But Talak and a couple hundred people managed to escape to this little island off the coast, and they call it the Island of Refuge, which is, where's the name? I call it Varin Bloth, which means hidden valley. Working on a language as well. I'm not a linguist. I took 4 years of Spanish, so it's a little rough. I'm hoping to take some language classes so I can develop a novel language. So that's kind of like the background of him, and then it skips ahead 10 years. He's 20, and he's this kind of quiet youth. He keeps himself, doesn't really involve. Technically, he's like the prince, but he kind of sticks to himself. And over the years, the Deceiver was sending out raiding parties to try and find where these people are, because he wants to just completely destroy them, because, and I don't really go into it, but they fought this long war, and there's a lot of animosity. Put it nicely. And eventually, raiding party comes, burns the whole village. Fortunately, Talak is out. He's developed this love of the ocean, so he's out, just sailing on the ocean, and when he comes back, everything's been torched. He and 19 others are only survivors, not to take captives. Nobody's really killed, but the party takes captives, take back as proof, yeah, we found these people. So they haven't realized yet that they didn't get everybody. They think they have everybody, they sail away. And so Talak is like this young guy. He's never really been like a leader, but he's immediately we have to go after him, we have to, get our people back. And all these other guys, they're older, they're past middle age, like, nah, it's not worth it. We've been through this before. We've seen the destruction. We don't really want to go through all this campaigning out in the wilds. We've done that as young men. And Talak loses it. He's like, you guys, it's a shame. You all are old men. I'm going to go by myself. And this one guy steps forward, and his name is Palin, and he says, I was a captain under your father. You don't know the wilds out there, but I do. I will go with you. And all the guys look at that and they say, well, we got an old guy and we got a young guy. We have to go. It's completely embarrassing if we don't go. So they all agree to go. And they get into one little boat they have left, and they have their meager rations, and they go out into the Sea of Knives, which is this great open body of water, and because of how far north they are, there's all these icebergs floating around, and that's what it gets named, the Knives. So they're navigating this, and they're being very careful not to get too close, to stay far away so that the enemy doesn't see them. And you track them across this body of water to this great ruined city. And they don't know the name. It's just it was destroyed long ago in the wars. And if anybody's seen Lord of the Rings, it's kind of Osgiliath-like, and that it's ruined. So that's where they pursue them to, and the warband goes into the city and makes a camp, and Talak and his men go around and they make a camp without a fire, but they watch them. And in the night there's this battle because there's these things that come out of the city that have been living there, like the mutants or the undead that attack the warband. And so in the morning they pack up and they just head south. And so Talk and his men get ready. We're going to pursue them further south. We don't know what we're going to do, but we're shouting them. We're going to wait for opportunity. And Palin says, look, they're going south towards this mountain pass. On the other side, there's this great fortress that was built during the last war. And once they get there, they're gone. We can't get them. We're not going to be able to get them. There's too many people. The walls are too strong. And the first thing Talk thinks, we got to get a right way to ambush them. We have to catch them. And Palin says, well, there are these mountain passes. They're being terrible to pass right now. The snow is high, but I think we can do it. So they set off in this parallel path, and they're following each night when they make camp. There's no fire because they can't let the warband see where they are, but every night they get a little bit further, and eventually they manage to pass them. So they can tell by the fire of along the warband along the path how far they've gone. And so they, the next day they cut down and they, prepare their ambush on the main pass. And Talk he's been this quiet kid, but he's very intelligent. He spent a lot of time in the wild, so he developed this plan. They're going to ambush them. They take those snow and they make a wall across the road, and then the other men hide along the trees. When the war band comes down, they're not sending out scouts because the war has been going for many years. There's no reason to expect ambush. And as they get to the snow wall crosser, they kind of stop and they go, what's that? And then Talk's men just jump up and they're all armed with longbows and they just start shooting at them. So that kind of throws them into a little bit of confusion, and you can imagine. And so the captain's dressing his lines, he's pushing it before we got it, and you just wipe through them. There's only a handful. And then the men behind drag barriers across, and there's men behind us, and then they're on the side shooting at them. And it seems like there's this great host that's come upon them and ambushed them. And the warband almost breaks through the snow wall. But Talbot, because he's the hero, right? He spent years hunting, and he takes his bow and he shoots down the captain, and the whole thing falls apart. They all start to run, and they get hunted down, and so there's a victory, and they rescue their people. But Talbot says, it's the middle of winter, there's snow on the ground, we have no food, we cannot go home, because they know where we are now. They know somebody is there, they'll come hunting for us. The only thing we can do is continue south and try and take that fortress. That will be our refuge for the winter. They'll have food, they'll have walls and roofs. And everybody's like, you're crazy, man, you're crazy. We're not doing that. But the men who have been with Talbot see how he's changed. They see, well, he's not the quiet, kid, whatever. This is our prince. We have to follow him. He's proven that we can trust him. This was his plan, this is his idea. And so that's where I end it, is with Talbot goes out and he picks up the war horn of the captain, but the insinuation is they're going to use this to sneak into the fortress. And I ended there because at that point I was at 9 pages, double-spaced. And I put a note in here, but I felt like if I was going to write that next part of them taking that castle, it would have put me further along, and I thought this was the most natural stopping place because you've kind of gotten a little bit of a mini arc, so to speak. So that's my story.